Hello, coin collectors out there. Welcome back to the Big D Coins channel. Also, the fans of paper currency. We got some cool $2 bills to look at in today's video. The main focus will be this one right here. This is a Red Seal 1953 $2 bill. As you can see, it's missing a chunk at the top right here, so that will decrease the value of the bill, but it's still going to be worth more than face value. We'll also talk about this one right here. A little bit less. This is a 1976 Bicentennial $2 bill with the first day of issuance stamp on it. And we've got this one right here. This is a special variety of the $2 Canadian 1954 $2 bill. I'm going to zoom in on it right here. Now this variety has this little detail on it right here. This is known as the Devil's Face variety of the $2 1954 Canadian $2 bill. So lots of very cool $2 bills to look at in today's video. If you are new to the channel, please consider subscribing. We've got daily videos about currency and coins on this channel, so I think you'll really enjoy it if you're into those two topics. Now first, before we start talking about the details of this 1953 Series A $2 bill, I want to talk about the different ways that you can go about acquiring them. Now this $2 bill I purchased on eBay. You'll have to pay more than face value for it if you buy any currency on eBay. But another way that you can go about getting them is through coin roll hunting, or kind of bankroll hunting as well. So here's a envelope of $2 bills right here that I picked up from my bank a little while ago. And you can get these for face value. So what I like to do for the $2 bills is call ahead to my local branch office of whatever banks you use, then ask if they've got any $2 bills on hand. And then you can kind of swing by that bank when you're doing your regular kind of errands or whatever you have to do on that particular day, and then you can pick up these $2 bills at face value. You can sort through them, look for any interesting serial numbers, look for any real old series dates. Maybe you'll happen to find one that has a red seal on it, or you can also look for star notes. You can look for notes that are miscut or misaligned. There's a lot of different varieties out there with $2 bills, but these are all $2 bills that I picked up at my local bank, and then I'll be returning most of them. So you can just pick them up from one bank. I usually like to deposit them at another bank just so I don't wear out whatever bank I'm picking them up from, so they don't think I'm just picking them up and then looking through them and then bringing them back. I pick up at one bank and then return to another bank. All right, so that's how I go about getting $2 bills, except for when I really want to get a particular series, then I head on over to eBay and we'll talk about the value of these bills. Now the 1953 Series A. So the 1953 red print $2 bill can be broke up into their 4 different types of signature combinations. So the one I have right here is Priest and Anderson. So the 1953, the 1953 without a series associated, that will have Priest as the treasurer and Humphrey as the secretary of treasury. The 1953A, that will have Priest and Anderson, which is the one that I've got right here. 1953B will have Smith and Dillon. 1953C will have Granhan and Dillon. So those are the different combinations. You've got the 1953, then you've got the A, B, and C. So all of the different $2 red seals are equally as common, so there's not a situation like with the bar notes for the dollar bills, where one of them is, or all of the currencies, where the bar notes, one of them is particularly more rare than the other one. In average condition, a 1953 red seal $2 bill will sell for around $2.50 to a collector. Obviously, they're not going to sell for anything more than face value if you're not a coin collector or into collecting currency. If you have a run of 100 consecutive red $2 bills, expect to get around $8 per note. So that will really increase the value of your notes if you've got a run of consecutive series numbers. The same $8 applies to smaller runs of consecutive notes. So a run of consecutive notes, that would be if all of these right here, say if this one was 638, then this one was 639, and then this one was 700, that's what's considered a run of consecutive consecutive notes. Now, if you've got a lower serial number, for most cases, it needs to start with 4 zeros in a row. That is what's considered a smaller run of consecutive notes with smaller serial numbers. So that will increase the value as well. The red sealed $2 bill from 1953 are frequently encountered with a star at the beginning of the serial number. Unfortunately, mine doesn't have one right here. A 1953 $2 star note typically sells for about $5 if they're in decent condition. Now, the condition of the $2 bill, what you want to look for that to kind of determine the value of it, you're going to want to look for any folds. So unfortunately, mine has some both vertical folds and some horizontal folds. So that will decrease the value of it. Want to look for any pieces missing. So this one has a really, really large chunk missing right here. If you look at this one right here, this would grade much higher because there are no pieces missing. I don't see any visible folds to the naked eye. Now, for yours to be graded very, very highly, by Paper Money Guaranteed, they would grade it under a microscope in order for it to get that 70 designation. So we've got folds, both vertical and horizontal, pieces missing, soiling and stains. Unfortunately, mine's got a stain right here. Tears. This one doesn't happen to have any tears, but I'm sure you've seen plenty of $2 bills. All right, so this one right here, this Canada note has a tear in it, so that will decrease the value of it. And the final item that you want to look for when determining the value of your $2 bill is the centering associated with it. So these bills are cut from a sheet, and they're not always so evenly cut. So if you look at the top right here, there's a lot more space, there's a lot more space at the bottom compared to a lot less space at the top. So this is what's known as bad centering, or like an off-cut $2 bill, and that will decrease the value of it because it decreases the perfection of the $2 bill in the visual appeal to it. All right, let's get a look at the reverse right here. We haven't even looking at this one right now. This is going to look different than your modern day $2 bill, much different in fact. So we've got Monticello, that's currently on the reverse of the nickel compared to the current modern $2 bill. Let's just get a nice look at this one first before we move on to the modern $2 bill. So that is the home of Thomas Jefferson. Now the modern $2 bill is this one right here. This one has the signing of the Declaration of Independence on it. Very nice looking reverse to both of these. Now you'll also see different alignment on what appears on the front side of the $2 bill. Now they both do say this note is legal tender at its face value and for all debts, public and private, except they're in different locations right here. So this one got moved up to this area over here. Now, as far as these letters, that's also a common question that people get. Now, these indicate the Federal Reserve note, Federal Reserve Bank that's associated with each printing of the dollar bill. If you zoom in on them, you'll see this one has F right here, and then it says underneath Atlanta, Georgia. The different indicators that you can see for the Federal Reserve banks are A for Boston, B for New York City. Then we have Philadelphia, Cleveland, Richmond, Atlanta, Chicago, St. Louis, Minneapolis, Kansas City, Dallas, and San Francisco. Now, for some of them, they're more rare than the others, but that's not going to be the case for the 1953 Series A. So lots of letters there. They range from A all the way till L. Very cool. So we talked about this right here. So this is going to be valued at $2.50 just because it's in pretty rough condition. You'll have to pay a little bit of a premium for the $2.50 if you're selling on eBay. If you go into your local coin shop, you'll probably be able to sell this for $2.50, but you might have to pay closer to $3.50 or $4 to buy it just because of that seller premium. Now we're on to this one right here. We'll talk about this briefly because I've talked about this in other dollar bill videos that I made. This is what's known as a bicentennial $2 bill. That's because it's got this stamp on it right here. So this person, whoever purchased this, the first day it was released, they took it and then they went directly to the post office. They paid 13 cents to get a stamp on it, and that stamp also was canceled out, including the date. So that's the only real way that you can prove that you got it on the first day of issuance. So the first day of issuance on this 1976 $2 bill, which is the bicentennial of the United States of America, came out April 13th, 1976. And that's why you see the stamp right here. And I do believe I have another one behind it as well. So I've got one of these. I've got two of these. I should have two of these. So these ones are stamped in different locations, but they're going to be worth about the same amount of money. They're both in relatively good condition. Now, it'd be probably near impossible to find one of these out of when you're just searching through circulated $2 bills. So you'll need to pay a little bit of a premium to have this piece of history. Now I'll put these back into its container after I get done the video. And now let's move on to this one right here, kind of the foreign coin showcase version of today's video. I will zoom in. This is the 1954 $2 bill from the great country of Canada. Now, Canada stopped producing $2 bills in 1996. I've made plenty of videos about the $2 coin in Canada. The transition from the paper bill to the $2 coin is because the $2 coin lasts much longer in circulation than the paper bills do. Now, the paper bills are less expensive to make. However, as you can see right here, as evidenced by this real large tear going down through 3/4 of it, they wear out much quicker than the coin $2 coins. So that's why they transitioned to making $2 coins, because it's much more cost effective over the long run. Let me flip it over to see the reverse side of this $2 bill right here. Now, what you see on the reverse, this is a 1953. The color on the obverse, or the color of the entire thing, it's the same color on the obverse and the reverse, is a terracotta color. The scene on the reverse of the $2 bill is a country scene from Richmond, Quebec. This was printed in 1954 and issued September 9th, 1954. Also associated with the 1954, we've got a green $1 bill. We've got a blue $5 bill. A $10 bill is purple. The $20 bill is olive green. The $50 bill is orange. The $100 bill is brown. And guess what? There's even a $1,000 bill for the Canadian 1954 series, and that color is rose pink. And interestingly, they all have a different scene on the reverse side of the bill. Now, as I mentioned earlier when we were talking about the grading of the $2 bills, unfortunately, this is going to be lower in value because it does have that significant tear going down the center of it. It's a little offline. We've got some stain and soiling right here on this side. There's like a little ink mark, a little red ink mark right there. So very cool $2 bill to end today's video. We also looked at these Bicentennial 1976 date of issue stamps right here. They're both stamped April 13th, 1976. And we talked for most of the video about this red $2 bill. Now, if you're still watching at this point, please do subscribe to the video. Thank you very much, everyone, and best of luck coin collecting out there. Enjoy!